All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Sweat Equity. Going into the kind of like the tail end of the year, we have a big goal. We have to get 10,000 subs. I mean, that's my goal, like the get 10,000 subs before the end of the year. We're basically at six, so we got to come with the heat. I'm talking straight about today, like how to create a cult-like customer base. The reason for that, and the reason I'm even going to bring that up, talk about it, is because I think it's so easy. There's so much information out right now about how to start all of these different brands, and some are going to have a shelf life of a year, maybe 2 years. And so when we talk about the brands that are going to exist for the next 5, 10, 15, possibly forever brands, what are in today's world, in today's modern age, what are the brands doing on a day-to-day basis, incorporating into their strategies to be able to create that cult-like customer base? So I see it as there's really four things that help you establish kind of this cult-like customer base. So I'm gonna start kicking it off. The first one is, and this is like the most obvious, but I'm gonna give examples of why, is your values. And then there's a few layers underneath your values. And I know it sounds like lame to be like, okay, we have to establish our values, but I actually think it's important because there was a brand that we were talking to last week. And so when we were talking about, they're super successful, like 8-figure brand, absolutely crushing it. But we were talking about like, how do we feel like, or how do we get to a point where we know we have a cult-like customer base? And this is kind of where this all stems from. And it was like, okay, I would know I had a cult-like customer base if tomorrow I said, hey, there's an event pop up right here this time, and 50, 100 people showed up. Right? Like, that's how I would know, okay, like people care about this brand, not just, hey, it's a good product, they use the product and it's just like solving a problem. Like I would know, okay, I got something there. And even like the way we were talking about it is like, because like their end goal is to create that. And so what we were thinking about is like, okay, the KPI then every 90 days, every quarter, they should be throwing an event and seeing, like, kind of measuring how many people are showing up at these events to understand, okay, like we're starting to build that brand affinity, that brand loyalty with these individuals. And so your story and your mission play into that. You have to understand your values, like as a brand. And so kind of workshopping it on the call, we were talking about it, and they haven't like laid the groundwork for what that is. And so if you have no values that your team is like cemented in, then there's no values for then the end consumer or customer to be cemented in, or to be like feel like they have any kind of relation with. And so when I look at brand stories and then how they then play into the mission to like create uh, uh this overarching values that people are connected to, I look at the story. And so I look at, like, for example, Seed. So I'm sure you know the company Seed.
Yeah.
So the reason she even started that company was because she was interested in microbiomes. And then while she was breastfeeding her son, she learned and realized how important breast milk is for an infant's microbiome, right? That was like the genesis of this. You look at Jocko, and I think I talked about this on a pod 1 or 2 pods ago. Like, you look at Jocko, he was taking a well-known supplement brand called Muscle Milk. And as he was taking it, then he learned that it just had all like these heavy metals and leads in it. He's like, fuck, like I'm giving this to my kids as well. Right. And that all of a sudden they created this problem. And it was like the genesis of, okay, I need to find a solution. Yeti is like the same thing. You look at Yeti coolers. The reason they even created Yeti coolers was they would go fishing, and they'd be I think they lived in like Florida and Texas or something like that. And like if you were on a bass boat, they would always be standing on the coolers to be able to fish, and like it would always break down. It wasn't resistant to the heat in Texas, like all of these different things. And so it was like this genesis of, okay, there's a story here that I could build off of that people will resonate with. Once somebody resonates with a story, then you have to get them. It's like your entry point to getting them to rally behind the mission. And so the mission is the next layer of, okay, we have this story. This is the thing that like we experienced, and I know other people probably experience and can resonate with it. Now we have to create this mission, this thing that the only way that this becomes a reality and you achieve this is by having a customer base. And so again, when I was on that call with Jocko, or Jocko's team, and they were talking about like, here's the story, here's the mission. There's two parts to it, actually. The mission was, okay, I faced this problem, Jocko faced this problem of no clean products, lead, heavy metals in the supplements. Therefore, I need to find the solution. And now I want to, this is like irked me that to the point where I want to create a brand and get as many clean products into as many people's hands as possible. Even to the point where, like, when we were on a Black Friday call with their team, and like we're throwing content ideas back and forth, one of the guys on their team, Carrie, was like, I want to be very adamant about this, but like we're a mission driven brand. Like we don't just say, or we don't care about just being like 40% off or 30% off. Or
You mean Jocko is mission driven?
I know, right?
Wow.
Wow, shocker.
Groundbreaking shit.
No,
on
but
sweat equity
I think
today.
it's a good thing to say, like, and to give insight in, because from the outside it could be like, oh, it's just like shilling content, and
he's just like probably
exactly.
He might be like top 5 like mission based dudes I've ever seen.
For sure,
it's
for
like
sure.
Him,
but
him
you would
Goggins
think, oh, like
and
he's selling a supplement because he built up this brand, and it's like when we were on that call, like he like stopped. The guy stopped the call and was like, I want to be very clear, like we were very mission driven, because like we were starting with content ideas and like kind of just brainstorming, and we're like, well, is Jocko down for funny ideas? Is he like, where's the pendulum here?
Yeah.
And he was just like, I want to be very clear, like we're very mission driven. Like we don't just say like we care about clean products and in people's hands. Like that is our thing. Like we really care about that. So Black Friday now is like the amplifier for that. You know what I mean? Like Black Friday is now a chance to discount it and get into as many people's hands as possible. But it was just this idea of, okay, that is the mission. And like the only way that mission is possible is to get customers, right? And so when I think about the mission, your mission is how you take, like to put this into something concrete, your mission is how you take this story and you position it in a way where it only becomes a reality if you get customers, right? I think that's the key element of understanding how to create and position a story, and then how to take your mission, position it properly where like every customer is another way of you amplifying this mission. I'm gonna go into the second part. So unless you want to drop anything there.
No, I think another example of why they might be interesting for people is because, Jocko obviously has this mentality of fitness and personal responsibility and stuff like that. And so his mission being different than that is interesting. This being something that's directly tied to health and ingredients and fixing that side of things versus, pursuing some sort of like fitness goal.
Yeah.
I think is not necessarily what you would expect out of him. And so it's a good separation of creator and brand too, because a lot of people just kind of spill their creator brand into their physical brand, and that doesn't always have to be the case. So that's 100%. Interesting.
100%. The next layer, and this is something that I think is becoming even more prominent, like something that we're seeing even more and more of amongst brands, is just in-person experiences and events. So really community. I'm going to give 2 examples that I really like, or 3 examples that I really liked, but the whole goal of in-person experiences and events is to turn customers into a community. You don't just have a community day one. People confuse audience with community, and they're so different. Audience is, I put something out and it reaches people, that's an audience. But if those people don't communicate with each other, they don't have any relationship with each other, you don't have a community, right? I think that was a really good image that one of the guys from The Hustle, Ethan Brooks, made, where it showed like just the difference between an audience and community. Most people don't have it. They think they have it just because they built an audience. Even for us, like we don't have a community around sweat equity. You look at somebody like My First Million, they do, because they have, I'm sure you've seen it, but like they have all these in-person
events. Yeah, they do the meetups,
events.
the events, all that.
Exactly. We start layering that in, like that's how we're going to then create the community. So just to give people that framing. One that I really liked was Bandit Running. So they actually are doing something right now where, or I don't know if it's currently going on or if it just finished up for the New York Marathon, because I think they're in Soho or somewhere in New York. But anyways, they're
in the West Village.
Yeah. They did 16-week training for marathon in person. And so it was this thing like you had to apply to it. They were only going to accept, I don't know if it was 50 to 100 people. And with that, then they were going to meet up twice a week. They were going to go through nutrition, the workout programs, meet up, train together. And like all of a sudden they created this 16-week experience where it's completely tied to Bandit. And then it's also tied around something that's very like goal driven, right? A marathon. If for some people, like this is their first marathon, there's an emotion attached to this where I complete my first marathon and now I go like, thank you to Bandit Running, right? Like I'm attaching something very like I'm attaching a brand to something very emotional or like something very goal oriented in my life, which I love. And so, and the reason for this is we talked about this, I think, with the honeydew, where it's like you want people to associate memories and one-of-one experiences with a brand, because that's how you feel like you always have like this lasting relationship with a brand.
Yeah.
There's another cosmetic company called Too Faced Cosmetic. I don't know if you've heard of them. No. But they held like they're a brand that's like kind of Barbie-ish, right? Like all pink, their feed's all pink. And so like when you think about that, you think about like the very girly girls that wear all pink, all that kind of stuff, right? They held an all pink tennis tournament where like the court was pink, the balls were pink, the bags were pink, like everything given to the individual that came was pink, right? And so when we think about like what your brand is standing for and what it puts out into that world, and then you're able to take that and put it into some like real life experience for your top customers, that's how you start like turning these customers into like this community driven, where all of a sudden all these people are interacting with each other. They get to find the other people that are like them and become friends with them and get to know them and follow them. And all of a sudden it's like you just have like this entire kind of gang, right, of individuals that you're building. I thought this was interesting when I was at the CrossFit Games. So there's HWPO, which is like the programming I follow, right? And HWPO at the CrossFit Games, they rented out an entire hotel and they turned it into like the HWPO compound or hotel or something like that. And the reason for it was they turned it into a 4-day event for everybody that was an HWPO member. And so like I'm an HWPO member. There's like HWPO Pro and then just like regular HWPO. And they turned the hotel right into like this 4-day thing where from morning till sunset, there was events going on that you can partake in with other members the entire time. And the entire goal, right? And that must have cost a lot of money, is that's retention based. Like, yeah, there's probably some events that were open to the public, but in reality, it's like a retention tool where you're getting all of these people together that are members and that all have this common goal. And now they all get to hang and train and kick it together. Right. And so I love this idea of like doing things offline to acquire customers, doing in-person things in real life to retain customers. Anything there?
No.
I know. I know you and I have already talked about like a lot of community stuff. I was even thinking about this to like brainstorming a little bit as I was going through this doc. I think it would be cool to do a community event in here where we bring brands in and it's just like ideation. Like you come with a problem and everybody in the room, or like you and I or me or whatever, like we ideate like how to solve that problem.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of brands are having the same issues. You know, it seems like most people just don't understand like what to create. Everyone knows they need content, but they don't know what to make. Yeah. And then, to that point, sometimes you have to create events to even have content around. Yeah. That's part of the investment. Is a lot of these community focused things that you're talking about are a great opportunity to put customers in front of the camera and have them speak authentically about your stuff while they're in a great state of mind with the products. 100%. Everyone that's at these Bandit things is going to be singing Bandit's praises because they've got stuff to do because of Bandit, and they're feeling heard, seen, all sorts of stuff like that. So it just plays into, brands just need to be omnipresent. It's so hard. You get swept up these days by like everything. And so, community stuff is definitely a big part of that.
And I think it's like, figure out how you can tackle it in the sense of, are you doing one event a month, right? What is the low lift, smallest thing that you can do where you're getting people together? Yeah. Is it as small as a run club? Like I know we talk shit about the extent of run clubs or how often they are, but like we work with a brand, Humantra, who has a phenomenal run club to the point where like there was a Cut 30 member, 2 or 3 Cut 30 members that I was talking to just like in our office hours kind of thing that we do, that I mentioned Humantra and they were like, yeah, we go to their run clubs all the time.
Is the run club in Dubai?
Yeah.
It's hot.
Yeah.
It's hot out there.
Yeah.
I'll be running.
And
careful. So hydrate out there. I guess.
Well, that's the whole point, right?
Big brain move by Humantra.
Big brain move,
yeah.
Baby.
Number 1 hydration station. It's got to be in the Arab desert.
Yeah. And so like they've been able to build their cult like following with, or not cult like following, but like their cult like customer base because of their run club. Outside of a good product, like you have to have a phenomenal product, but the other part is they get I think it's like 200-300 people at once running around Dubai like together, and yeah, it's hard to beat something like that.
I wonder how many people live in Dubai. What's your guess?
I have no idea.
You got to put out a guess though.
Shit.
It's kind of big.
Like more than a million?
Yeah, significantly. It's bigger than you think, for sure.
Okay.
This number blew me away, low key.
Okay, 8.2 million.
All right. Well, now you're out of pocket. 8.2. You just gonna 8x your guess? Meet me in the middle. 3.79 million people live in Dubai.
Wow.
90% of them selling courses. Stuff that you don't see on Google.
Yeah, that's so funny. Data source, Brian Blue.
Yeah. Stop the cap 2024. Keep going.
Yeah. The third layer, characters or character. The way I think about it is characters are amplifiers and net extenders. What I mean by that is you bring on a character who has a similar audience or somebody or a subset of your audience, and they're somebody that expands your net. They are able to cast a net and reach a customer base or reach individuals a lot easier and faster because they've already built the trust, the awareness, all of that you can't do. The wrong way to leverage a character is to have them create like X amount of deliverables. Like, hey, here's a content brief. I need you to do this, or I need you to create 4 pieces of content. Instead, you want to look at them as, hey, I'm bringing you on because you're special. In many ways, like we're bringing you on as a character because you are special and you align heavily with our brand. Therefore, we're going to create a strategy around you as an individual that aligns with our brand, right? We're going to, everything that we stand for as a brand, you stand for as an individual. And therefore, we're going to put resources around you to be able to amplify you, because when we amplify you, we build a bridge back to ourselves. So the way I like to just see it is like that character is a pillar within your marketing strategy. They're not their own thing. Like that is the same way you look at Facebook as an acquisition tool. You look at them as an acquisition tool, a retention tool, an awareness tool, all of those things. So you have to create that strategy around them. And so I'll give differences because some brands will have characters that they essentially bring on, right? One of the most recent ones is Gymshark with CBum. CBum has his own nutrition company, right? Or nutrition supplements company, Raw Nutrition. And they have their own clothes. But like Gymshark aligns heavily with CBum. CBum aligns heavily with them. And Gymshark just needed a resurgence. Like
I know why you're bringing this up.
Why?
Because you just want to call CBum daddy on the podcast.
No.
I guarantee.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Look,
not doing.
You just needed an excuse to do it in a safe space within a segment.
They bring him on. He's a character in many ways, like quote unquote, like of that brand, where he's like front facing. He's a big individual.
You know the piece of content I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Where it's like Daddy's Home or
that was like how he announced the partnership. Was he said
great.
Daddy's Home, which was electric, but.
And then Aloe Yoga, same thing. They brought on this what is it, Korean like pop star Jisoo.
That's not my corner in the internet, bro.
It's not mine either. But she's again like they brought her in. She fits the whole theme. One of my favorites though currently is Nude Project and Bruno. I think that's my new wave. Is like I'm buying way too much Nude Project.
I was before you.
I think you bought it before me. I don't know if you were on them before me.
To the point where I actually think I should say publicly right now that I put you on to New Project. I went to the store in Barcelona and told you about them in May.
So, okay, that's fair.
Just before we get on to your new project arc.
No, because
you're going to go on an arc here. I could see it.
Oh, I'm already on it because I like their shit.
Also, they're killing it as a brand. I honestly don't think anyone else is even on their level right now. It's like insane.
No, I don't think anybody is.
Yeah.
I'll tell you when I found out about them.
Straight neck session for Bruno.
Yeah. And he's like 23, 24. Okay. So I'm not gonna lie. I found them a year ago through George though. George did a pod with the guys, Bruno and the other guy. I don't know the other guy, but they did a podcast together and I watched it because it was like how to create a streetwear brand step by step. Thought it was super interesting, but I never bought anything until, I don't know, a few months ago. So, but I've started buying a lot of shit from there. Their shit goes crazy. But I mean, even if you look at Bruno, like he's a character for Nude Project. He started his own YouTube channel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? His own YouTube channel about the BTS of Nude Project. There's also multiple characters within their, even within his YouTube. Like, I forget her name, but the girl that edits all the vlogs. Like, there's all these different characters within not Bruno Project, Nude Project.
I think what's cool about them too, I was watching a interview with the Airbnb CMO, and he said
Airbnb CMO?
The Airbnb CMO, yeah.
Okay.
And he was talking about how they get Airbnb to all Like they have all these different teams, all these different stakeholders. They have creative, product, design, all of these people. And how do you get them all to march in one direction? And he said, by far our biggest strength there is having a CEO who's both left and right brain. And that was in reference to Chesky, the CEO, saying like, without him understanding that creativity needs space and all that sort of thing, they wouldn't be able to do what they do. And I think Nude Project is a great example of, on the apparel side, when you have a founder who is down to be a creator, who is making blogs, who is making content on his own without ever, there's no demonstrable ROI, there's no one-day attribution to any of the content he's making for Nude. But he loves doing it.
Yeah.
That amplifies the brand in so many different ways and helps them tell their story. And that's probably the number one thing we get, or I don't know, at least that I've seen, is a lot of people are like, well, how do I set my apparel brand apart? And it's like, dude, in 2024, if you're not telling founder stories about your apparel brand, like, I don't think it's going to be really, really hard.
Yeah.
You better be innovating on design in a way that is next level.
And I still don't even think that's enough, right? Like, that's what I talked about at the beginning of the pod, where the product isn't enough at this point.
Yeah.
Like,
it's not
to have somebody that is a forever customer. When we're thinking about like the cult-like, the people that are going to wear Nude Project, they're going to go to all the events, they're going to be obsessed with the brand. Like, there has to be that story, that element, those characters that are people fall in love with and they rally behind. It's like, the way I think about it is, and why characters are important, is a movie is not a movie without a character, right? And like we go watch it. Then Halloween comes and you dress up as these characters that you love and all of these things. And it's like, characters play such an important role of you seeing yourself or something that you aspire to be in that character. And therefore people feel attached to you, they latch on to you. And that is like a way to just be able to build up this momentum and build up this cult-like following or customer base. I keep screwing that up.
Might as well get the double attribution, double SEO.
There we go. The last bit, and this is the most obvious, is at this point, say you got your values, your story, mission cemented, you're doing the community events, you have your characters, you need content, right? That comes back to the entire, like the main thing, because this is, again, going back to being an amplifier and a net extender. Like, the fastest way to fast track your ability to build a cult-like customer base is to create content, is to put content out there that is reaching net new people week over week and getting them into your ecosystem. You have to be able to get net new people into your ecosystem. That's not just referrals. That's not just word of mouth, but you have to be able to, because your word of mouth is going to scale if you're getting net new people in the door every time, then at your community events, and then they're talking to somebody else. And so content is like that core of all of this, where it's a thing that's going to make it all work. It's the flywheel. It's the thing that's going to get more people to the community. It's the thing that's going to get more people behind the characters. And it's the thing that's going to only amplify your story and your mission if you're consistently putting it in your content.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the most important, if you've been listening to the pod, I think you understand we're pretty bullish on content, but that's because it's so simple to look at brands that are differentiated today than not.
100%.
Like the ones that are led by content are the ones that are actually going to keep succeeding.
Which I think this falls perfectly into, you're talking about brand lore.
Yeah.
Hit me with it.
Yeah. I mean, brand lore, it's lore is this concept that is blowing up with Gen Z right now, where kids are saying, do it for the lore, or just you need to build your own lore. And it's this concept that you need to be taking action to build stories to tell later down the road. It's kind of like you're mentioning the importance of characters. Not only are characters important, but character building narratives are also very important. Like, there has to be a story behind the character, why they arrived at this point, why they are behaving the way they are, stuff like that.
Like, so, Brian feels like he's skinny in the sauna. Brian hates to lift. Therefore, Brian starts lifting. 90 days down the road,
I've been posturing. I've been working with Cade on the back end to work on my angles from the camera. Yeah. And I know y'all are going to see it on YouTube.
Is this a real thing?
It's not. But brand lore is like this concept of, Nude Project is the brand that I've been studying the most on this, because
they crush it.
They have lore in the sense that they did a Playboy collab. And so as a result of them doing this Playboy collection, which had a bunch of stuff featuring the Playboy bunny, they actually rented out a mansion and brought all of their team and some influencers to that mansion. And during the course of that, they shot content every single day, whether that was photo shoots for the products, whether that was, they did a Love Island skit, like they did all sorts of different stuff. And you're watching this thinking, what, am I watching a YouTuber or am I watching a brand? You know, there's no real distinction.
There's no disconnect really between the two.
What's interesting is, so Full Send and the Nelk Boys did this a long time ago. They kind of pioneered this because they started with merch. Before they did Happy Dad, they actually used to just sell like Full Send merch. And they would always plug the merch drop in their YouTube videos. And now what you're seeing is a brand like Nude Project, who was e-commerce first, right? The creator stuff came second. They're able to seamlessly inject all of their different collections into their content. So that was the Playboy collection. So when you look at their most recent collection, which is the First Class and Fried Chicken, you know, they're leading up to this with all sorts of 420 Snoop Dogg skits, and
with a fake Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, with a fake Snoop Dogg. And they have this entire content series where Bruno is smoking a joint, watching and in a brainstorming session with his creative director, talking about his idea for this. And the guy's like, this is the dumbest thing ever. And then they lead into, well, we're doing it anyway. And, you know, to your point about the in-person stuff, like they just opened up a new store in La Roca in Spain.
So they got mad, they have mad stores.
Well, they're huge. I think they're even like, they're big in the US, but I think they're even bigger in Europe.
They're huge but they're only doing, not only, but 30, 40 mil.
Yeah. I mean,
like stores are big investments. I've been learning a lot about that, like just from tier CEO, and like it is a lot of money to have a store,
100%,
a retail front.
I mean,
and like the payback period's crazy.
Yeah. But how do you get your store to actually have, you know, good foot traffic? It's injecting a lot of your brand into it.
Yeah.
And so what they did is they opened up this store inside of what used to be a library. And so now it's like this combination of a vinyl shop and a library, but also it's, you know, a place where they're merchandising all of their stuff. And so that is like, by creating a destination as your store, that's an extension of your brand in reality.
Yes.
And that's a way you can actually build brand lore, is like, oh, and that, like, that's, think about it on a timeline of your brand, right? Like every single thing that you're doing should be a little event that happens on the timeline of your growth. So for Nude, it's like we opened up the La Roca store, which was the first reformed library, you know, fashion house and whatever. So like, it's just about kind of doing stuff out of the ordinary for the plot. You know, that's what brand lore is about. Like, don't just like run Facebook ads and hope it works. And especially, I mean, a lot of people, you know, spin up a drop shipping thing, or like whether you're in the supplements industry, electronics, it doesn't matter. It's like, find that story and find those events that will continue to build towards that story to make it more interesting.
100%.
And, you know, it'll pay off in the long run.
They just have the whole flywheel down packed, right?
But it starts with having that left brain, right brain CEO.
For sure.
Like, he is someone who understands the value of this stuff, and so it gives it the space to breathe.
I couldn't agree more.
Because otherwise, another CEO would be like, why do we have a YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing with this? And brand that did this really well back in the day was Chubby's. So they got bought, obviously. And so in the process of getting bought, what does a private equity firm do to a brand is they start stripping everything. They try and strip every cost to make sure every dollar has incremental value. And so that inevitably destroys brand marketing, because brand marketing doesn't have a payoff for 6 to 12 months. You're not lowering your customer acquisition costs through brand marketing initiatives in 3 months.
Yeah.
Like, it's something that you saw a podcast with the Nude Project guys a year ago. Yeah. You didn't buy from them until, you know, this year. Well, now that you like saw that a year ago, it makes your current affinity towards them even more powerful. Yeah. And so that's a brand marketing initiative. It wasn't like running a Facebook ad to you at 100%. The time. And, you know, connecting those brand marketing initiatives to the P&L, I think is going to be a huge wave over the next couple of years, because these ad platforms are getting worse and worse. Like, and just generally that's people's preferences too, is like, they don't want to be advertised as much.
And I think the other thing to consider there is, when you have the brand marketing dialed, you don't mind getting hit with an ad from a brand that you love.
100%.
I get hit with Nude Project and Represent ads and in Kith and whatnot, and like, I'm fine with them. Because they feel native to my feed, because I'm already within their ecosystem.
Yeah.
And so when I look at it through that lens of, okay, how is this going to impact return on ad spend down the road, or in your attribution, all of these things, it is that 6 to 12 month thing, if not longer, where these are the things that I have to do now so that 12 months down the road, we're getting that impact on the ad side, because during this 6, 9, 12 months, we were doing nothing but trying to build that brand affinity. We were trying to do nothing more than get people within our ecosystem and getting them to love us and trust us and feel like they're behind our mission and our values and all of that, which is it's a hard game to play, and it's one that does take cash. But when we're talking about a brand that could turn off paid ads, right, and still win, like that is what we're looking at.
And so, what happens when you create this brand lore? It gives you more creative freedom with your ads, because they're still running paid ads to drive sales for this collection. And what's really interesting when you start to dig into their meta ads library is these aren't your typical direct response, collection out now, limited stock available, go get it. It's this specific ad that we're going to put up is he just goes, fuck, they didn't have green loafers. And it's just all of the green items from their collection. You could not do that if you haven't already built the relationship with people to expect the tone that your brand is going to communicate in. Yeah. But because they've done that, they can cuss in an ad, and someone like you or me sees that and it's kind of like, that's funny. 100%. Like, it's just the way it comes off. Like, they've built that trust, they've built that credibility. And to your point about pattern interruption and standing out, you have to be able to stand out. Well, how do you do that? It's by earning trust with an audience and then being able to communicate in a way that's different so that they don't feel turned off that it's an ad. It's like, this is kind of funny. It's like almost like a meme, right?
So let me show you how you can grow your brand like Erewhon. So let's be real, a 6-year-old brand integrating influencer marketing into their strategy. It's pretty interesting. So the idea is then, what's stopping your brand from doing the same thing? I get it. Sourcing and sealing deals with influencers is a nightmare. Using spreadsheets, we know that's not easy. And tracking deliverables is insanely tedious. And most of the time, influencers just drop the ball. But here's the thing. It's 2024 and we have way better solutions than what we did even a year ago, and definitely in comparison to what we had 10 years ago. And that's where SARAL comes in. Because with SARAL, you can build a list of influencers. So think of like a CRM, but for influencer marketing. You can send out automated outreach sequences, and you could create and track relationships at different stages of the funnel. Working with a top of funnel influencer versus a bottom of funnel influencer is a different thing, and they have different requirements and different content needs. But here's the craziest part for brands like yours. And that's that brands that are working with SARAL are averaging a 5x ROAS, which is nearly double what most brands are seeing on Facebook right now. So here's the thing. If you want to take it for a spin, we got you a free trial via Sweat Equity. And all you got to do is click the link that I put in my bio. You'll also see the link right here. And trust me when I say it's the only tool you really need to build out a good and robust influencer marketing program. So check it out. Let me know how you like it and try it for free.
One thing I didn't touch on in my doc, or like as I was prepping for this episode, was, and I regret like not doing this, but something that I do think is imperative for creating that, again, like that cult-like customer, is having a sense of like a personality. The brand has to have a sense of a specific personality that people latch onto and people get used to, similar to what you just said or what I was talking about with Jocko. Like Jocko has, and the brand has, a specific personality, very serious, very disciplined, just does what they have to do. Something goes bad, they're just like good, you know, whereas Bruno and Nude Project is very much, how would you describe their personality? Like they're having fun with life.
Yeah, it's chaotic.
Yeah. It's
like fun, chaotic energy. Yeah.
They're being 23 and like unapologetically themselves. Damn, I hate saying that. What a sling of buzzwords in Austin, Texas. Unapologetically themselves.
You know what? Everyone in Austin's unapologetic. And I think people need to start apologizing.
Please.
Yeah. It's just out of control.
I saw something funny from, I think you know Tiger. He moved out, but like he lived in Austin anyways. Video guy, he posted something about like Austin and kind of the people that live in Austin.
Yeah.
And then Tommy posted, like, responded to the comment about thinking about moving something, but it was like something about like everybody being a health coach or a life coach or something. For sure. Stuff. But then they kept just dropping like examples where it was like, hey bro, want to catch up? It's like, yeah, send you like a calendar invite with a $400 invoice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For like a life coach.
Here's the party full to our our cold plunge and chill.
Yeah, it was like you want to meet up at Zilker, and sends like a party full.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, geez, man.
I mean, look, every location has no matter where you go, there's always going to be people that are very easy to make fun of. Like everyone has this romanticized image of New York. Like, bro, let me tell you, those finance guys, like that's a whole nother world. Like if you don't want to be around people that irritate you, don't go to New York.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be more hardos per capita than you've ever encountered in your life.
I do understand how like you can live it, because I've lived in Austin for 10 years. So I've been here before. Nearly everybody's like, all these new people have been here, right? Like I've been here for
you're
a
borderline
minute.
local.
Yeah. Like coming here when I'm 20, like that's different, right? Not an adult like this. I matured with the city, and I get why people that have lived in a city for a long time see a city evolve, or like the people change, and like they start to like they never leave the city, but they consistently complain about the people in the city.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of getting to like,
there's
a line.
You're getting to be a get off my lawn Austin guy.
Not a get off my lawn Austin guy.
See, I think this is again. You're a dad now, so you just.
But I'm not that. I'm not a get off my lawn Austin guy. But I'm I hate the journaling. I hate the life coaches, business coaches.
So you're publicly saying you're anti mental health.
Yeah.
Just wanted to clarify.
No. All right. I feel like that's a wrap on the episode.
Yeah. That
Episode
was
52.
Episode 52. Please like and subscribe. Share it with a friend, and we'll be back next week.